Let's hear from Neville Matjie, Chief Executive Officer of Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal. Good evening, Neville, and welcome. Let's start with the rearview mirror. What's your perspective now on the business recovery in the province?
Thank you very much for hosting us this evening. The progress towards recovery has been quite aggressive for KwaZulu-Natal. From the word go, the province has really been driving the economic recovery plan together with its social partners, and as part of this economic recovery plan included the participation of business and industry within this process. The first and most important priority was to deal with economic stability. And part of the economic stability required us to also look at stability from a safety and security perspective, in partnership with the chambers in KwaZulu-Natal, the South African Police Services, as well as some private security companies. We were able to then put together a partnership that also would deal with intelligence on the ground in terms of what is potentially imminent that could disrupt our economy and disrupt services. And based on that, a rapid response team has been put in place to ensure that they quell any potential threats as quickly as possible.
Let's just stay with that thought for a second, Neville, because it's important. So it sounds like, valuable lessons were learned from last year, and there is some, preemptive intelligence that you're able to bring to the fore to ensure this doesn't happen again. How regularly do they update you? How regularly do you get together? As regular as the need arises. I think that's one thing that we've noticed and realized from last year, that a partnership between business as well as the provincial government as well as the security cluster is quite important, that we respond as quickly and as effective as possible. So as soon as there's a threat, there is a team that looks at that and analyzes it, and then a rapid response team is then deployed. Right. So coming to the funds now, how much has been disbursed and what is the profile of the recipients? Yeah, the IDC set aside a total of 30 million rand, and in partnership with Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal, we were able to then disperse all 30 million rand to 192 beneficiaries in KZN. Ranging from the small, especially focusing on the township and the rural economies, and some in the metros, but more on the periphery between the metro and the townships. So the bulk of the beneficiaries really are within that component. What we have discovered is with some of them that they've actually built back better. So this has actually created the opportunity to rebuild their facilities, but not to the same state, to actually make sure that they're looking even much better. We visited some of those beneficiaries today, again with the Premier, where he was able to then inspect the work that has been done in partnership with these entities. And we've also seen a partnership with NEF, which has also come to the party to ensure that they support a number of businesses within KZN. But in essence, the partnership with the IDC really went a long way, particularly dealing with those companies located in the townships. You know, Neville, I've never been so happy in my whole life to hear the sentence, all the money has been spent. You have no idea, given the concerns around the relief money, the 1 billion rand from Treasury, and then that money hasn't really been catalyzed, and it hasn't had a catalytic effect on the economy of KZN just yet, and there are a number of issues there. So really happy to hear that. And to hear you also say that businesses are actually restored to a better state than in some cases they were in the beginning, also very uplifting to hear. How many businesses applied and were successful? We had a total of 450 applications. The total quantum of all the applications was close on 200 million. We were saddened that we only had 30 million, but it's better than nothing. It has really gone a long way to support especially the smaller companies. We had 192 beneficiaries, and out of those 192, 120 of them were women-owned businesses, and about 21 were youth-owned businesses. So that was quite positive for us to actually realize that benefit. I must ask this question, how are you auditing those disbursements?
Yeah, AG currently is busy now going through the audit, but we went through a rigorous process to ensure that it was the deserving beneficiaries. Our application process was quite tedious and long, and we had a team that was deployed to verify every single applicant to ensure that we disperse the funds to the correct beneficiaries and the people who actually suffered the brunt of that dark week.
But, obviously waiting to hear what AGSA has to say about that and giving you a clean bill of financial health. But hearing that it is possible to be given money, disperse that money, and to be confident that it's been done right, again, that's such a confidence boost in this environment of ours. I want to come to the longer term picture. Now, given how easily businesses were looted and there was such extensive damage done, do people want to invest in KZN, and are those who are currently invested staying?
Yeah, we had basically three portfolios in terms of companies that came forward. One, we had literally a handful that actually did not finalize the investment decisions for KZN. We had those that actually put a pause button in terms of investments in KZN, and others that literally just went ahead with the investments. I'm pleased to say that the ones that actually had put a pause button on KZN have actually gone ahead and invested in KZN. Just in this last year alone, we can account for close to 40 billion rand of investments that we have realized on the ground, a number of which the Premier, as well as our MEC for Economic Development, the MEC Ravi Pillay, have actually launched. At the Presidential Investment Conference, as you know, we were in the top three, in fact, accounting for the second largest number of value of investments committed for KwaZulu-Natal. Immediately after the civil unrest last year, we were quite encouraged by a number of companies that came up front. And Massmart, I remember, was one of the first companies that came up front and said, we're committed to investing in KZN. Not only are we going to rebuild, we're actually going to expand our operations, and we have seen that. They have actually lived up to that commitment. And a number of other businesses have really been positive. You still see scars of the civil unrest of last year, particularly in our townships. But you can also see the recovery mode as part of that.
Right.
So in as much as it is not 100% restored, but the resilience of the businesses within our economy has really shown, and they've really demonstrated that they are moving ahead. And a lot of the government support programs, especially the ones that have paid out, have actually assisted those companies to get back onto their feet quickly.
Yeah, as you're completing that question there, we're showing our viewers some we call it overlay in our business, of trucks burning on the Moy Plaza. We've seen the destruction that continues to happen. I mean, there's still some instability there. And you mentioned, some factors in the beginning of our interview that kind of give you a sense that the province is in good hands when it comes to preempting any, future repeat of what we saw last year. But on top of that, and given these visuals that we're seeing now, what credible fact-based assurances can you give that the province is safe and it is open for business and that it's sustainable?
It's easy for me to say, but I think the demonstration of the climate of doing business is shown by those companies that have actually invested in KZN. As I've indicated, they are the ones that will sing the trump card for us and have actually done so. After the civil unrest, where we've seen a number of them, from Toyota Manufacturing that has reinvested and actually did the Toyota Cross, Tetra Pak that invested $500 million in the economy, Nyanza Light that invested close to 4.5 billion. So there's a number of these companies that have actually done that, and they've gone ahead with the investment decisions. That in itself is a clear showcase. But I must indicate from the provincial government, our Premier has been quite decisive, Premier Zikalala, in moving across swiftly. Immediately after the social unrest, the first thing he did was to go and speak to the international community through the foreign missions that are based in Pretoria,
where he had one-on-one meetings with the diplomats and also engaged with the entire diplomatic community to actually give an indication that KwaZulu-Natal is ready to do business.
Right.
Post that, we've had major events. African Bank, again through our Premier's leadership, actually did their intra-Africa trade fair with over 12,000 people coming through for their trade fair right here in Durban, which has been positive, and a number of other platforms that, and most recently, of course, the Hollywood Bets, Durban July, really showcasing that KZN is open for business.
Well, on that winning note, Neville, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for sharing with us what the economic outlook is in KwaZulu-Natal. It's been a really encouraging picture that you've shared with us. Neville Matjie is CEO of Trade and Investment KwaZulu-Natal.